Vittore Baroni from Italy, one of the two, let's say, three founders of the Trax project in 1981, which was not exactly a record label. It was more like a conceptual international group that the whole project lasted 7 years, from 1981 till 1987. And it involved in these 7 years over 500 artists, authors throughout the world. So it was a sort of networking project, a sort of social network before the internet. All this came together because I was involved with the Mail Art Network. Correspondence art is an alternative form of art that grew mainly in the United States since the early 60s. Ray Johnson, a pop artist, is always mentioned as a sort of founder of this network. I had discovered that I could do really, even if I was living in a very small town, I could create projects involving people from all around the world.
Stop us! Stop us! Stop us in a truck!
When I got to know Piermario Ciani, the late Piermario Ciani, unfortunately died a few years ago, Piermario was connected to a very big experience in Italy. It was called the Great Complotto from Pordenone. It was probably the only meaningful scene during the punk era in Italy, with bands like Hitler, SS. In Pordenone there was a niche where these punk bands grew and they connected one and the other, and they had created a sort of fake imaginary nation that was called Noun. And so I connected with Piermario and we said, let's put together our backgrounds, our experiences, and invent something totally new. And that was like Trax. The idea of Trax came out. That functions like a system where you have each Trax product has to have a central unit, someone who came up with the idea and who organized the whole product, and then peripheral units. It means all the kind of people who were invited to do audio, graphics, whatever it is. We built this concept that anybody who agreed to take part in Trax could become a central unit, so he could produce his own Trax products, invite other people. There was not a single headquarters for Trax. I produced a lot of things, Piermario did, but then Massimo Giacon, a comics artist, joined and he did his things.
My name is Massimo Giacon and I was Trax member 03. I am an artist, a cartoonist and a designer, and obviously a musician. Vittore and Piermario maybe find something, found something interesting in our music, in our way to perform. The way we perform was very unusual, and because we use costumes handmade with paper and handmade instrument, we are a very strange band and a very maybe desperate. The first Trax LP, Traxtra, that was a very interesting experiment about the how to make music with other people all around the world. For example, I start with a tape where I play something, then I sent by mail this tape to another guy that maybe live in Australia. He play over this tape another instrument. Then he sent this tape by mail to another guy that live in another country. It is very complicated, but in the 80s it seems very incredible and a very good idea.
In this case, Piermario selected 10 participants from Italy, but also from other nations. From the UK, we had Nigel and Caroline of Nocturnal Emission. We got this guy, Martin Hall from Denmark, who, by the way, has become a very well-known, successful writer, playwright, and musician in his own country. My friend Massimo Giacon, who was Trax unit number 3. We all had new numbers. Since the name Trax was thought out by Piermario, he was Trax unit number 9. I was number 2 and Massimo was number 3, and so on. So each one had a number. In this case, there were 10, and Piermario was the one who had the concept. So he started the tapes and sent to various people. People would receive a very basic tape with just one source of sound, usually. They would record something else over it and send back to Piermario, because Piermario was like the master of the game. So he would hear every time what somebody had done on the first take, and then decide which of the 10 artists was going to do the second take and so on. But this was just one of the many Trax products we did. Like the next LP, the idea was different. This one, I was the main unit for this one. It was called Anthems, and the idea was much simpler. I simply invited like about 20 groups. Each one had to be from a different country in the world, and I asked them to record an alternative version of their own national anthem. But we were producing T-shirts, dresses, portfolios of art, copy art or serigraphies. We did jackets. This is an extreme Trax product. It's non-edible potato chips.
They wanted to be something that was between music and other media, but in bad times other media don't concern the computer. The other media was mail, music, comics, fanzines, punk, and punk in sense of what punk means in that times. That means a movement of ideas. We wanted to break the rules between the artist and the common people.
This is maybe the main difference from a lot of underground projects or labels, that usually you select one musical genre, and then if you have to be a sort of industrial label, you only play very seriously with these esoteric themes and so on. While it could happen to us that in Anthem's album you have a punk band from Brazil next to a very playful band from Australia and so on, because the concept had to be so strong that even if the things you were hearing were so different in genre and in background, you could still have something meaningful in your hand, because the concept was what was supporting the whole thing. I think that the early 80s was a sort of magic moment. The new wave ideas developed in each country in very different ways, and there was a wide array of new creative directions. So with this exchange of takes, the Trax product, I was able at the time do a cassette in 500 copies. In a few months they would be gone. Now you have to look for them on eBay, and they fetch a rather high price. At the time, maybe of 500 I would sell 100, and the other 400 would be trades with other bands. So I have an archive with hundreds of cassettes of those times, because the period was so rich in creativity of these homemade kind of recordings that then it was so easy to pick up things that I like to put into a Trax compilation, because there was so much great stuff around.